jungle.
Hello everyone. Welcome to the video on managerial economics. I'm Dr. Smriti Mathur, working as an assistant professor at Babu Banasidas University, Lucknow. I'll be taking you through the journey of managerial economics. Before going deep into the concepts of managerial economics, it is important for us to understand the concepts of economics. This video focuses on the introduction of economics, economic problems, and opportunity cost. We will also discuss definitions of economics given by Adam Smith, Marshall, Professor Robbins, and Paul Samuelson. We will also cover scope of economics, which includes the subject matter of economics, nature of economics, relationship of economics with other sciences, and limitations of economics, and methods of economic analysis, which includes inductive method and deductive method. The science of economics was born with the most influential publication, an inquiry into the nature and causes of wealth of nation, by Adam Smith in the year 1776, which is today known as the Wealth of Nations. Indeed, he is commonly known as the father of economics. This publication remains the quintessential text in economic science. He was the first to realize that specialization and division of labor were the primary source of productivity, and he was the first to conceptualize the invisible hand principle, demonstrating the tendency of free markets to regulate themselves by means of competition, supply and demand, and self-interest. One important thing worth noting is that in the beginning, the name of economics was political economics. The word economics in English has been derived from the Greek word oikos, means a house. Oikos means a house, and nemen means to manage. Gives combined meaning as managing a household using the limited funds available in the most economical manner possible. Economics has the basic function of studying the ways in which people, household, firms, and nations maximize their utilization of scarce resources and opportunities. Hence, economics can be termed as a social science, focusing on satisfaction of human wants by efficient utilization of scarce resources confronted with the problem of choice or the problem of allocation of resources to their alternative uses for achieving the objectives of maximization of satisfaction at consumer level, maximization of profit at producer level, and maximization of welfare at national level. Therefore, economics is sometimes called as the science of scarcity and choice. Now, before going deeper into the concepts of economics, it is important to understand its basic terminologies. First term is the scarcity of resources. Human wants are unlimited, and productive resources such as land and other natural resources, skilled labor, raw material, capital equipment with which to produce goods or services to satisfy those wants are scarce and limited. Scarcity of resources requires that efficient and optimum use of resources be made so that we should get most out of them and maximum possible satisfaction of the people is achieved. Unlimited wants for resources leads to the problem of choice. The problem of choice from the viewpoint of the society as a whole refers to which goods and in what quantities are to be produced and how productive resources allocated for their production to achieve the greatest possible satisfaction of the people. So, scarcity and choices are inseparable at all levels of decision making. At the consumer level, scarcity means limited income and choice means allocation of income to the purchase of different goods and services in a manner such that he maximizes his satisfaction. At the producer's level, scarcity means limited resources and choice means allocation of resources to the production of different goods and services in a manner such that he maximizes profit. And at the national level, scarcity means limited natural resources and choice means usage of resources in a manner such that social welfare is maximized. The scarcity of resources relative to human wants gives rise to various basic economic problems called as central problems of an economy. These problems are what to produce, that is, what goods and in what quantities are to be produced by the society. Second problem is how to produce, that is, what methods or techniques of production a society will decide to produce goods. Third economic problem is for whom to produce, that is, how the national product is to be distributed among members of the society. Last term is the opportunity cost. Due to scarcity of resources, the economy must make a choice among alternative goods and services it can consume or produce with its limited resources. While making a choice, a rational decision maker, be it a consumer or a producer or government, must decide on the basis of the value of the next best alternative foregone. For example, with a given money income, you are considering to see a movie in a cinema hall with your two friends. Suppose the next best thing you give up to purchase 3 movie tickets is the book on economics. So, a book on economics is called the opportunity cost of 3 movie tickets. Next topic of discussion is the definition of economics. There are plethora of definitions of economics available in the field. From time to time, various known experts have provided different definitions of economics. These definitions have been classified under the following categories due to their diversified meaning. This slide shows the timeline of development of definitions of economics. To ease our learning, I have prepared this timeline clearly stating the development of 4 definitions of economics. First definition is called the science of wealth, given by Adam Smith in his book, An Inquiry into the Nature and Cause of the Wealth of Nations in 1776. Second definition of economics is called as the science of welfare, given by Alfred Marshall in his book, Principles of Economics in the year 1890. Third definition of economics is called the science of scarcity and choice making, given by Professor Robbins in his book, An Essay on the Nature and Significance of Economic Science in the year 1932. Last category of definition is called the science of dynamic growth and development, given by Samuelson in his book Economics and Introductory Analysis in the year 1948. Now, we will discuss about these definitions in detail. Let's start with the first definition of economics called as the science of wealth, given by Adam Smith. He defined economics as an inquiry into the nature and causes of wealth of nations. His definition exhibits following features. First, wealth is the central point of economics. That is, creation and accumulation of wealth is the only way for the economic growth of the country. It studies how does a man produce wealth for consumption, exchange and distribution. Secondly, he considers every man as economic man. That is, all the actions of a man is guided by his self-interest and rational behavior. Thirdly, he considers only material items, that is, production of different varieties of goods as wealth of a country. Non-material items, that is, services rendered by teachers, doctors, were not considered as a part of country's wealth. But economics as a science of wealth was severely criticized. Firstly, his definition has a narrow scope as he considers only material goods. Economists should include non-material things also. Secondly, this definition emphasized upon wealth by stating that wealth generation is the sole purpose of life. This definition ignored the fact that wealth is the means of human welfare, not an end. Therefore, a group of economists condemned economics by calling it the gospel of mammon, science of bread and butter, and dismal science. Thirdly, Adam Smith assumed that individual and social interests are non-conflicting is not always correct. Individual and social interests may conflict with each other. Lastly, Adam Smith's definition gave no emphasis on scarcity and problem of choice. These two components are the core issues of an economic system. Second definition of economics was called as science of material welfare, given by Alfred Marshall. He was the first economist who shifted the emphasis of economics from wealth to welfare. He pointed out that for economics, wealth is not an end in itself, but it is only a means to an end. The end being the promotion of human welfare. He tried to make the study of economics as an engine of social betterment. He defined economics as a study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. It examines that part of individual and social action which is most closely connected with the attainment and with the use of the material requisites of well-being. Important points worth noting in his definitions are: first, this definition considers economics as the study of man, which occupies the prominent place in the economic study. The subject matter of economics is to study mankind, not wealth. In his words, economics on one side a study of wealth, and on the other and most important side is the part of the study of man. Secondly, economics studies man's life in the ordinary business of life. Ordinary business of life includes those human activities which are concerned with production, consumption, exchange, and distribution of wealth. Third, economics is concerned with the science of material welfare of human beings, and it studies those activities which are connected with attainment and use of material requisites of well-being. Lastly, welfare definition has viewed economics as studies as to which action is right or wrong for the evolution of well-being of man. Fourthly, according to Marshall, economics is considered as a social science which is associated with the study of economic difficulties encountered by the members of an organized social group. Marshall's definition is also not free from criticisms. Professor Robbins criticized Marshall's definition. Firstly, Marshall has narrowed the scope of economics by including only the material, normal, and economic activities within its purview. Secondly, Marshall's study is only concerned with the study of material things, but it is difficult to separate material welfare from the other types of welfare. According to Robbins, economics also inquires how the prices of immaterial services such as professional singers, actors, etc. Third, this definition covers only the social groups or their members in individual capacity. Others who do not belong to any society or those living in isolation are totally exhausted despite their contribution to the economic system. Fourth, Marshall considers economics as subjective and is measurable, but Robbins considers welfare as subjective thing and it varies from person to person. Economics is concerned with any goods and activities which are generally thought to be harmful to human welfare but are studied in economics such as liquor. Finally, Marshall considers economics as normative science, but according to Robbins, economics is a pure or positive science. Third definition is called as the science of scarcity and choice making, given by Professor Robbins. Economics is the science which studies human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. This definition is based on the following fact. First fact is that man's wants are unlimited. In his definition, ends implies wants, and for satisfying wants, the man uses resources. That man's wants are economic problem to arise. If man's wants are limited, then no economic problem would have arisen. Second fact, which gives rise to economic problems, is that resources are scarce in relation to wants. Because resources are scarce, all wants cannot be satisfied. Therefore, human beings have to decide on the satisfaction of which wants resources should be used and which wants should be left unfulfilled. Third fact is that the resources or means have alternative uses. For example, monetary resources can be utilized for production of consumer goods or capital goods. It has to be decided how resources have to be allocated among different uses. Fourth fact is that economics is neutral between ends. That is, whether goods and services are conducive to human welfare or not. Economics should study them if they satisfy the wants of the same man. Last fact is that economics is science of choice. Whenever resources are scarce and the wants are many, the question of choice arises. So, this definition brings the light the basic economic problems which confronts the society, but has also been criticized on several grounds. Firstly, Robbins' definition has been criticized on the ground that it is not justified in the past to oppose making economics as an engine of social welfare. His definition is concerned with how a man and society uses its scarce resources to achieve maximum possible satisfaction of its wants, which is nothing else but maximum welfare. Secondly, Robbins' definition has been criticized on the ground that economics is neutral between ends. According to many economists, if economics has to play an important role in promoting social welfare and economic growth, it has to take decisions regarding what is good and bad to achieve these ends. So, if economics is to serve as an engine of social betterment, it would have to abandon the neutrality between ends or objectives. Thirdly, Robbins' definition is static and independent as he leaves important issues such as national income, unemployment, poverty, trade cycle that is untouched. Today, macroeconomics has become most important and economics should be capable of undertaking a critical and objective analysis of the core of macroeconomic analysis. Fourthly, Robbins' definition lays undue prominence to scarcity problem. Other economists were of the belief that not only scarcity of resources is behind the economic problem, but the abundance of resources as well as excessive production is also responsible for economic problems. Robbins' definition is also criticized on the ground that it has reduced economics to a mere value theory, that is, the theory of product and factor pricing. According to him, economics should study only the allocation of resources among the production of various goods and consequently how the prices of goods and factors are determined. But the scope of economics is wider than the allocation of resources and the price theory. Also, Robbins' definition considers economics as positive science, but it is normative also. According to various economists, it is the responsibility of the economists to offer suggestions in order to overcome the economic issues. Now, we will discuss the difference between welfare definition given by Alfred Marshall and the scarcity and choice making definition given by Professor Robbins. First basis of difference is economic activity. Marshall's definition believes in only material activities which promote material welfare, but Robbins' definition includes both material and immaterial activities to tackle the problem of choice. On the basis of treatment of economics, Marshall's definition treats economics as social science, whereas Robbins treats economics as pure or natural science. Next point of basis is the type of science. Marshall's definition considers economics as normative science. Conversely, Robbins' definition considers economics as a positive science. On the basis of nature, Robbins' definition is theoretical in nature, whereas Marshall's definition is practical in nature. The concept of welfare in Marshall's definition is objective and applicable equally to every person, but the definition by Robbins is subjective in nature and it varies from person to person and place to place. Last basis of difference is qualitative or quantitative concepts. The concept of welfare in Marshall's definition is qualitative phenomenon and we cannot measure it, whereas the concept of scarcity and choice in Robbins' definition is quantitative phenomenon and we can measure it. Now, let's move towards the last definition of economics, known as the science of dynamic theory and development. Known as science of dynamic growth and development given by Samuelson. According to him, economics is the study of how people and society end up choosing with or without the use of money to employ scarce resources with or without the use of money to employ scarce productive resources that could have alternative uses to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now or in the future among various persons and groups in the society. It analyzes costs and benefits of improving patterns of resource allocation. This definition is very comprehensive and does not restrict to material well-being or money measured as a limiting factor, but it considers economic growth over time. Thus, a study of economic growth and development and of economic stability forms an integral part of the study of economics. Important points worth noting in this definition includes: first, Samuelson's definition is concerned about efficient allocation of resources, that is, link between limited resources and unlimited human wants and the resultant economic problem. Second, Paul Samuelson had laid emphasis on the significance of time factor. It deals with the problem of choice in a dynamic manner. This feature is an important improvement over Robbins' definition. Third, Paul Samuelson's definition is more elaborative. It includes all the economics within the purview of economics, even the partner economy where money measurement is not possible. Fourth, this definition discusses cost-benefit analysis for the betterment of the resource distribution system. Also, the definition takes into account the sharing pattern of scarce resources among various consumer groups and individuals in a society. Lastly, Samuelson's definition highlights the study of macroeconomics. This definition has advantages. Firstly, this definition is a realistic definition of an economic problem which includes unrestrained human wants and difficulties in satisfying them due to the lack of adequate resources. Secondly, Samuelson way of the opinion that economics is the oldest among arts and newest among the group of sciences. Thirdly, growth-oriented definition considers economic welfare as an integral and important part of the study of economics. Study of economics includes both material and non-material approaches for overall economic welfare. Fourthly, this definition, along with analysis of problems, offers well thought out practical solutions to those problems. Lastly, this definition treats economics as a dynamic subject. Its study not only includes the current economic problem, but also economic problem likely to be faced in the near future. Thank you. In this video, we will discuss about the scope of economics and economics analysis. Economist J. Keynes, in his book The Scope and Methods of Economics, has included the 4 points under the study of the scope of economics, which includes the subject matter of economics, nature of economics, relationship of economics with other sciences, and limitation of economics. Subject matter of economics is concerned with what is studied within the subject. Subject matter of economics includes traditional approach and modern approach. Chart clearly depicts the traditional approach to the subject matter of economics. It stems from wants which are unlimited. What means to satisfy them are limited, which gives rise to economic problems. Economic activities are conducted to solve this problem. Economic activity is the activity of providing, making, buying, or selling commodities or services by people to satisfy day-to-day needs of life. Economic activity includes production, consumption, investment, exchange, and distribution. Here, production is used for consumption and investment. Consumption is the activity which is concerned with the utility of goods and services for the direct satisfaction of wants. But we all know human wants are unlimited, as a result of which new want arises after satisfaction of one want, and the whole process is repeated. Investment is the activity which leads to increase in physical and human capital. It is used for production of other goods and services. But means to satisfy unlimited wants again leads to economic problems. This process continues forever, circularly. Economic system is a system of production, resource allocation, and distribution of goods and services within a society or a given geographic area. It includes the combination of the various institutions, agencies, entities, decision-making processes, and pattern of consumption that comprise the economic structure of a given community. It includes capitalist economy, socialist economy, and mixed economy. Economic policies covers the systems for setting levels of taxation, government budgets, the money supply and interest rates, as well as the labor market, national ownership, and many other areas of government interventions into the economy. It includes monetary policy, fiscal policy, economic policy, industrial policy, etc. Modern approach to the subject matter of economics includes price theory and income theory. Price theory is concerned with the flow of goods and services from the business firms to consumers, the composition of the flow and pricing component of the flow. It is related to an individual person or business situation and studies economic variables such as demand, supply, production, consumption, etc. The study of individuals is called microeconomics. Income theory is concerned with the economy, which examines the interrelationship among the various aggregates, their determination, and causes of fluctuations in them. It is related to the economy as a whole and studies economic variables such as income, employment, economic growth, inflation, etc. The study of economics as a whole is called macroeconomics. Important point to keep in mind is that Professor Ragnar Frisch of Oslo University divided economics into microeconomics and macroeconomics in 1933. The term microeconomics is derived from the Greek word micros, which means small. Microeconomics can be defined as that branch of economic analysis which studies the economic behavior of the individual unit, maybe a person, a particular household, or a particular firm. It is a study of one particular unit rather than all the units combined. Microeconomics makes a microscopic study of the economy. Microeconomic theory seeks to determine the mechanism by which the different economic units attain the position of equilibrium, proceeding from the individual units to individual industries and markets. Microeconomics is concerned with important questions of economy, which includes kind of product to be produced and its quantities, production techniques or methods, division of output of goods and services among the members of the society, and efficiency of the society's production and distribution. The scope of microeconomics includes, firstly, product pricing, that is, the theory of consumer behavior and the theory of production and cost. Secondly, factor pricing, that is, theory of wages, rent, interest, and profit. And lastly, the theory of economic welfare. The term macroeconomics is derived from the Greek word macros, which means large. Macroeconomics may be defined as that branch of economic analysis which studies the behavior of not one particular unit but all the units combined. Macroeconomics is helpful in understanding the working of the whole economy by studying all the essential aspects of an economy, such as theory of employment, economic development, national income, etc., as well as in formulation of economic policies. Macroeconomics proves to be crucial for testing and development of laws. Theories established in microeconomics. Scope of macroeconomics includes, firstly, theory of income, output, and employment with its two constituents, namely the theory of consumption function and the theory of investment function. Secondly, theory of price, which constitutes theories of inflation, deflation, and reflation. Thirdly, theory of economic growth, dealing with long-run growth of income, output, and employment. Lastly, theory of distribution relating to relative share of wages and profits in the total national income. Scope of economics also includes the nature of economics. To inquire into the nature of a subject, it is essential to know whether the subject is a science or an art or both. If it is a science, whether it is a positive science or normative science or both. Science is a systematic body of knowledge concerning the relationship between cause and effects of a particular phenomenon. A subject is considered as a science if it is a systemized body of knowledge which studies the relationship between the cause and effect. It is capable of being observed, collected, classified, tabulated, and analyzed. It has its own methodological apparatus and it should have the ability to forecast. Like science, economics studies the cause and effect relationship between economic phenomena. For example, the law of demand explains the cause and effect relationship between price and quantity. Like science, in economics, facts are observed, collected, classified, tabulated, and analyzed systematically and then interpreted. Like science, economic laws are universally applicable, such as law of diminishing marginal utility, law of equimarginal utility, etc. Like science, it is capable of being measured, the measurement in terms of money. Like science, it has its own methodology of study and it forecasts the future market condition with the help of various statistical and non-statistical tools. This proves that economics is a science, but according to some economists, Economics is not a perfect science. Rather, it is a social science because it examines the social behavior of human beings with regard to allocation of scarce resources in order to meet the needs of each individual in the society. Economics does not only involve production and distribution of goods and services, but also the human factor. Therefore, Samuelson called economics the queen of social sciences. Now the question arises whether economics is a positive science or normative science. Positive science is concerned only with what it is. It deals with the things as they are and explains causes and efforts without making value judgments whether it is right or wrong. Economics, as a positive science, focuses on the description, quantification, and explanation of economic developments, expectations, and associated phenomena. It relies on objective data analysis, relevant facts, and associated figures. It attempts to establish any cause and effect relationship or behavioral associations which can help to ascertain and test the development of economic theories. There is no instance of approval, disapproval in positive economics. An example of a positive economic statement is government provided health care increases public expenditure. Normative science is concerned with what ought to be. It is concerned with the ideals. It explains whether a thing is good or bad. It lays down policies and rules to achieve what is considered to be good. It evaluates the things. Thus, normative science may be called applied science. Economics, as a normative science, focuses on the ideological, opinion-oriented, prescriptive, and value judgments aimed towards economic development, investment projects, and scenarios. It is a subjective and value-based concept originating from personal perspectives, feelings, or opinions involved in the decision-making process. An example of normative economic statement is the government should provide basic health care to all citizens. Next, art has been defined as the practical knowledge for accomplishing specific objectives. Science gives us principles of any discipline. However, art turns all these principles into reality. As an art, economics has various branches: consumption, production, etc., which provides practical solutions to various economic problems. It helps in solving various economic problems which we face in our day-to-day life. Thus, according to Professor Champel, economic studies economic facts and events in a real way as a positive science. It explores the possibilities of what ought to be the status of economic matters as normative science. And finally, it finds solutions to fulfill desirable economic ends as an art. The Consortium of Social Science Association, COSSA, holds science and art are complementary to each other. Therefore, economics is regarded both as a science and an art. Now, we will move towards the relationship of economics with other subjects. Economics is closely related with political science because branches of economics such as public finance, economic planning, monetary and fiscal policies are greatly influenced by political thought. There is a close relationship between economics and statistics as economics depends on data for measurement of changes in economic aggregates like the national product, consumption, savings, investment, expenditure, and value of money. They use statistical methods for verifying economic principles and testing hypotheses. Mathematics concepts and techniques are useful in economics for increasing the sale and profit and reducing the cost. Various mathematical tools and techniques such as calculus, matrix, differential, etc. are used in economics. Economics is also related to accounting. This is because both of them are concerned with the same subject matter, goods and services. Economics analyzes the variables related to goods and services such as the production, consumption and trade, whereas accounting involves record keeping. Operation research and economics are also closely related. Operations research provides various tools such as linear programming models, inventory models, game theory, etc., which helps to solve the issues related to planning and allocation of scarce resources. Management and economics are also related. The various aspects of management such as finance, marketing, production, etc. comes from the analysis of economic systems. Therefore, study of economics is considered essential and important for the students of management and other social sciences. Along with these components, the scope of economics includes limitations also, that is, what is not included in economics. Economics studies only human activities and does not study the activities of imaginary persons. The study done by economists is based only on rational person. A rational consumer is willing to maximize his satisfaction, and if he is a rational producer, then he will be willing to maximize his profits. The laws and principles of economics are based on various assumptions, such as other things being equal. Assumptions of economics may not work in all the cases. The laws of economics are based on trends which are neither exact nor universal, as the laws of natural sciences. Economics is controversial. There are different opinions to the same problem by different economists. Now we will move towards the last topic of this video, that is economic analysis. Economic analysis is the systematic approach to ascertain the best possible use of the available scarce resources. Economic analysis essentially entails the evaluation of costs and benefits. It starts by ranking projects based on economic variability to aid better allocation of resources. There are two methods of economic analysis. First is the induction method of economic analysis. The inductive method is also called as empirical method, was adopted by the historical school of economics. It involves the process of reasoning from particular facts to general principle. It is an ascending process in which facts are collected, arranged, and then general conclusions are drawn. First step in the inductive method is to find out the problem and its gravity in detail. This is followed by the collection of relevant data, its categorization, study, and analysis. Once the data analysis is completed, specific observations are made and conclusions are drawn with regard to the problem. Lastly, observations made are used to arrive at generalizations in a rational and scientific manner. This method is very near to reality. It is a dynamic method of arriving at economic theories and is very useful for macroeconomics. But this method is a very slow process. Second method is deductive method of economic analysis. Deductive method is also called as the abstract method, analytical method, or hypothetical method, or triad method. It goes from general to particular. This method accepts certain universal truths and tries to arrive at inferences about a particular event through a process of logical reasoning and through a process of logical analysis and reasoning. First and foremost step under the deductive method is identification of the problem related to unemployment, inflation, poverty, etc. This is followed by designing of assumptions which could form the foundation of the hypothesis. After this, hypotheses are formed on the basis of assumptions and common logics. Last step is to testify and verify the hypothesis formulated at above stages. This method makes use of certain core principles and conclusions arrived at through other methods, analyzes them, and comes out with innovative inferences. It is based on static analysis and is more suitable for macroeconomics. The main advantage of this method is that it is a very quick process. At the end of this video, you will be able to answer following questions. Explain, define the definitions of economics, explain following concepts, that is scarcity, choice, economic problem, and opportunity cost, discuss traditional and modern approach to subject matter of economics, distinguish between microeconomics and macroeconomics, explain the nature of economics, explain the relationship of economics with other subjects, and lastly, what are the various methods of economic analysis. Thank you so much.